Hey everybody, welcome to Everything with Eddie. If you are new here, thank you for coming by. If you are here for the second time, hey, thanks for coming. Today we're going to talk about everything New Year's resolutions. So if you're like me, you start off for 3 weeks and you're like rocky, like super hyped, good, go, you're good. And then life happens, work gets busy, and I just kind of lose sight of what I really wanted, even though my goals that, I set in the beginning were like things that I really, really wanted, but I let everything else have priority before those goals. So this year is going to be different. 2022 is the year. I can feel it. I'm excited. And I really, really want this year to be different. So I'm doing a few things to go ahead and make that happen. One, I'm going to be very intentional in my goal planning and just in general being intentional in my life because I think that's so important. And I'm going to be more kind to myself, and I'm going to set really healthy boundaries between work and my personal life because I'm a workaholic and I really just want to be able to be good at both living my life and the work that I do. So we are going to be all things intentional. So today I'm going to share a little bit of the things that I have started to think about to make myself be intentional and go through, I said drink every time I say intentional, go through the year with the goals that I have and finish off the year with the goals that I have. And then I'm going to go over some of the things that have helped and that I have done prior to coming into 2022, but I'm going to go ahead and keep. First things first, I have always been a student. I love learning. I'm also an educator, so I have to be organized. I've always been organized. So something that I like to do is I bought a planner. I personally love passion planners. This, however, is not a passion planner. This is with my plan to not put my life and my work in one planner, so that we're going strong. I ended up buying an appointment book actually that has like 7 a.m. to like 8 p.m. and then it has notes on the bottom. This is not the nicest planner, but to me it's important to have an appointment book because I'm an advisor, so I have appointments every day and I want to make sure that I give my students the full time that they have allotted, and also just leave room for walk-ins and make sure that I'm like respecting people's time and just being like super intentional. But yes, so that is why I bought that. But Passion Planner is really good, or you can go to your local Ross or Target, Walmart, whatever your favorite store. You can go on Etsy and buy some really, really cool planners as well. There's digital planners, so just whatever works for you. If a planner doesn't work for you, then you got to find what works for you. A planner has worked for me since I was like 12 years old. So it's just what works for me, but find what works for you. The other thing is I have done this before, but I'm going to continue this year and just be more consistent with it. Is I love journaling. I started journaling probably when I was like 10 years old. So long time. And I have kept all of those journals. They're either somewhere in my mom's basement in the house or they're with me where I live now. But something that I started doing recently, probably like a year ago, 2 years ago, is I have a Polaroid. I bought this 3 years ago. So this is a really cool, cute Polaroid. I bought it and I love picture journaling. I don't really know if that's what it's called. Maybe that's what it is called, picture journaling, but I love picture journaling. I'll kind of like, these are my nieces, so I won't really show the pictures, but I love journaling with pictures because it kind of shows me, I can always go back to my journals and like, oh, that's what was on my mind during that time. Just recently, I've been spending a lot of time with my nieces, so I felt inspired and just like happy to be around family again. It's been a very long time. Happy to be in my home state. And so I wrote a letter to my nieces in my journal. And so again, just something so beautiful that you can always look back to and like, oh, that's where my head was at. That's where my headspace was at. That's what I was enjoying at that time, or that's what was hurtful during that time, etc. So that's really, really important. Let's take a breath because I'm always running. Okay, so let me just enjoy. The other thing that I love doing is setting goals. I used to be really good at it when I was a student. After I got out of school and was out of school and in the real world, I didn't become so good at it or wasn't very consistent with it, but I want to be consistent with it again. And so I started writing some of my goals. I won't share all of them, but I think it's so important to go ahead and like write your goals. I split mine into topics. So some of the most important things, and I would definitely ask you to think about this, and you can comment below and, what is most important to me? What is most important to you at the moment, right? For me personally, financial wealth is important to me. Physical health, spiritual health, and mental health are really important to me. The work that I do, I call it heart work. And so I have to show up with my heart, or I don't have to, I get to show up with my heart every single day. And as much as I love doing that, it also takes a lot from a person. And so I think it's so important for me. Spiritual, mental, physical, and financial are all very important in just how I show up on a daily basis, but also how I show up in my relationships and my family. If I can't be 100%, I can't be 100% to others. And I always try to be and want to be 100% because I want to have a conversation with someone or have an interaction with someone and for them to really feel like the love that I'm portraying and the happiness and the joy and the sharing and community that I want to be in. So, for like physical health, one of the things that I put down, and might be something that you haven't thought about, but I not only put my exercise regimen, etc., the thing I do every year, I also put find my primary care doctor and find an OBGYN. Like, those are all things that I think in my culture, like, we have a stigma of like going to the doctor, or maybe like we couldn't afford the doctor, whatever, etc. And so I don't really like going to the doctor. I'm not a big fan of going to get checkups. You kind of just go to the doctor. It's like last resort when you're like low-key just can't take the pain anymore. So something that I decided is, look, I have healthcare now, with my job, and I really want to take advantage of this. And plus I'm paying for this. So why not go get my checkup? Why not make sure that I am doing well on the inside? And so that is something that you might think about as well. Another thing is like spiritual health. I think that for me is really, really important to me personally. Like, if you know me, like, this is the center of all things for me. So I might not act like it some days because life is rough, but it really is the center of like me and who I am. And so like an example is like when I go back to the state I live in, like I will make sure that I've already like jotted down where my meditation space is going to be at and like what it's going to look like, so that every morning I am intentional of getting my mind right and clear for the day. So goals, important. The other thing that I want to talk about is, I know that like every video you're probably like, damn, this girl just wants us to buy stuff. And I mean, I don't, but I do want to let you know, like, don't be afraid to invest in the tools and the things that are going to make you successful. So if your goal and your plan is to like, you're like, hey, I'm going to be spiritual and this is what that looks like to me, and you need to buy a Bible, or you need to buy whatever it is that it looks like to you, incense, or, then pay for that, buy that, and get yourself the nice stuff, right? Because you are investing in something that is going to help you and make you better, right? I understand that is not, we can't do that all the time, right? And there's economical ways of doing that, but just make sure that if you have the means to go ahead and invest in the tools that are going to make you successful, because I think that's so important to love up on yourself and treat yourself, not always, but do treat yourself so that you can become the person that you want to become her. Okay. So in that transition, spirituality is very, very important to me. So I just bought this new Bible. I do have a Spanish Bible that I've had since I was like 10. I keep it in my bedroom, but I bought an English Bible, and it is called She Reads Truth. And it comes in this really pretty packaging. You take it out. And I think one of the things that is so beautiful about it, and I put in my tabs, is that sometimes the Bible is this, for Christianity in general, the Bible is, the word, and it is where we get our knowledge and our wisdom. I think that it can be very confusing, to be honest, and thank God that there are a lot of versions that have become easier to read and interpret, etc. But I think as the forever student that I am, I really like this Bible because, and I'll show you right now, because it's kind of like a study guide, which I know some of y'all were like, but it is kind of like a study guide. So what it does is, like, you have the first chapter, right? So you have the chapter of Genesis, and it gives you a little bit of background. So it actually gives you history. A lot of the times, like, people are reading the word and the book, and I know I said the book, some of you are going to trip, but like, it's okay. It's okay. They're reading the word and like not understanding the context. I think it's so important that, like, to know that this is history as well, right? And so the context of what was happening in that time period. And so it gives you a little bit of that. It gives you a timeline. How cool. Like, my forever student is like screaming inside. Like, that is so cool. And then it gives you this little study guide that I told you about. So it'll tell you week 1, this is what we're going to read. Week 2, this is what we're going to read. Week 3, and it goes along with you and it pauses with you. So for example, like, it pauses after, the first page and talks about like what verse 1 and 2 talked about in the book of Genesis. So I think that is so beautiful. For me, it's important to me because I need to get my source of energy from somewhere. I am not just extroverted because I'm extroverted. Like, I spend a lot of time by myself and a lot of time regaining my energy with people that I love and like filling my cup. Right. And so this is one of the ways that I fill my cup. And so invest in the tools that you need to be successful. You don't always need to buy things. No, but sometimes those tools that we need to be successful do cost money. So this year, I wish you all, the best of luck. Lots of health, lots of blessings. I ask that we be kind to each other. I know it's really hard sometimes. I know it's hard for me sometimes, but be kind to each other. Show up for yourself. And if that's it, like, you just need to show up for yourself and you can't show up for others, that is okay. And I want to leave you all with a quote. So above all else, guard your heart. For everything you do flows from it. And I think that is so beautiful. Protect your energy, protect your heart, protect yourself from everything. Be kind. There is babies in the back crying, sorry. But thank you, los quiero mucho. Don't forget to subscribe.